G'day guys, welcome back to part 2 of this TImbecon Woodworking Supply Store Shop Tour. First episode went really well. People acknowledged it was a really good tour up to this stage, and hopefully part 2 will be just as good. As we go through, and I'll show you a little bit more of the store, and Frank will give you a little bit more explanation as to some of the ways TImbecon goes about running this wonderful place, and just the customer recognition. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. Between Frank showing me around, I had a look around myself, and I was very impressed with the CMT range and also the Torcutter router bit range. And as we move along, a lot of nice fittings here, brass fittings, T-bolts, T-nuts, drawer slides, and also some other nice hardware associated with making some nice gift boxes. And we also see here a lovely selection of Japanese saws. Woodworking has been around for centuries, as we see in all types of architecture and building of furniture. But it seems like in Australia and other parts of the world, the woodworking skill was in a little bit of a decline as far as in the educational system. But since the advent of the social media generation, would you say there's been a resurgence in people wanting to take on woodworking?
Definitely, yes. A lot more customers are actually, whether they're for their trade or whether they just enjoy woodworking as a whole, it's just grown so much. They've gone away from just your chipboard, melamine cabinets to actually solid timber construction. We love customers coming in showing their projects. They post them online. They really do some really interesting and creative work.
Yep.
So it has evolved. Yes. So the downcline is now inclining. Yes.
That's interesting, because the first person I had on my shop tours and Meet the Maker, built by Chris, he said exactly the same thing, where he's taking his skills into working now with more natural timbers rather than panel goods, as you mentioned. So that's really interesting, and it's always nice to hear and refreshing. So
yeah, and I like to hear customers who haven't even picked up a tool, never learnt a tool, but decided they want to try some woodworking, and they buy a few tools, start off and start creating. And there's also customers that use reclaimed wood, which is great for the so
and YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook groups. They're all we've got to be thankful for having them, because if it wasn't for Steve Ramsey or people like that, I probably wouldn't have started up doing any woodworking as well. So and now we are here talking about the whole scenario of why social media is such an important part of our education in life. So thanks. We compare what's on offer at generic hardware stores. We don't have the same selection. As you can see here, we've got the ability to buy machines to sharpen our own saw blades, the whole Craig selection here, multiple types of finishes and glues. It's brilliant, and it's the expert advice you get along the way is ever so helpful. So that's why I think I love shopping here. As well as the wonderful already established Sherwood brand, which is colour coded in the colours you've seen, TImbecon have also gone to great lengths to just reevaluate, I suppose, and see what they can bring to the market as far as advanced technology. And a prime example of that is their brand new black range of bandsaws. So Frank's going to show us a little bit here. And I must say they are exquisite bits of machinery, and it is a future where we're looking a little bit more towards fully automated sort of setups and that. And I think that's going across the board, but these are something worth considering as well. It's good to have a few choices between what your budget can basically afford, and if you're up to saving a little bit extra, well worth having a look at this stuff. So let's check it out now. One question that's always interested me is if I'm a person who walks through the door and I'm here at TImbecon, I'm not really sure about, you know, what I'm after, and I'm always trying to understand what level of woodworking skills I have. How do I approach the staff here and say, look, I think I'm after something in particular, but how would you perhaps try to recommend what I might want to look at as far as a purchase?
Sure. When a customer comes into our store and they need our assistance, we ask them what they're doing, how much space they've got, because they may be looking at the biggest model because they think they may need it. But when you talk to a customer, find out what they really need and how much room they have, downsize to suit their needs. Big isn't always best.
Yep.
So we talk to the customer, find out what they're doing, what their future plans in building or constructing or furniture making is going to be.
Yep.
And then we just explain the difference between, say, Model A and Model B,
Yeah.
or size A, size B, and just try and guide them, give them advice.
Yep.
To make sure they make the right purchase.
Yep. And that's an excellent thing that I've found in my experience of shopping here, because a lot of places will just want to sell you something for the sake of the sale, and I do like that you assist the customer and predetermine, you know, at what area of project they are at, and how, you know, not to waste their money if they're not going to be doing some, you know, big work. Perhaps get the smaller machine that's suitable for the project they're, you know, working on. So that's great, and that's something that could be, you know, like a gold standard across the whole of retail. And, you know, this is a shining example of a company, a business that does go out of their way to assist all their customers. Along the store, we see a good assortment of machines here, Craig and Sherwood router tables. But importantly is the concern of occupational health and safety. So we see some fine dust extraction systems and microfiltration machines also on offer. Record Power, they have a presence here in the store, as well as a combination belt and disc sanders, and the range of Sherwood bandsaws, which have been a popular seller for the business for quite a long time. We also see here we have a great assortment of different types of blades for the bandsaws, and then also your Bessie selection. But as we move along here, we'll see the beautiful brand new bandsaws, which I mentioned a little bit earlier.
We have our clamp section along this wall here. We are extending our clamp rack here as a work in progress. A series of lathes here, different sizes for different applications for our customers. We have our large ones for more industrial work, and we have our small hobbyist ones, and we've got a mid-range. And with our lathes we have all our wood turning tools. And we have our Sherwood brand drill presses, whether they're a floor model or a bench model. Different sizes, again, to suit the customer's needs.
Going along, a lovely big old workbench there, quite expensive. We see some combination thickness jointers up to, I think, about 16 inch nowadays, which is a big unit in particular. We see some also standalone jointers. These are the old with a cast iron fence, and behind that you have a nice selection of up to 20 inch style thicknesses, and some Craig stuff as well. So one of the good things I see, and that's why I particularly come down quite a lot here to TImbecon, is the range of glues and finishes that are available. And, you know, I see primarily brands like Typebond are used by a lot of woodworkers out there. It is a good brand, and, you know, you get 3 types of options for interior use type woodwork projects, exterior, and also something in between for, you know, finishing your glue ups. And you also have a great selection of screws and fittings and brackets, and, you know, they come in brass and different type finishes. So
we know by what customers ask for.
Yep.
We try and cater
Yep.
for. So whether it's your type-on glues or your epoxy resins, or even your finishes,
Yeah.
is, your shellacs or your hard wax polish.
Yeah.
We try.
Yep. And I noticed you got one of my favourites, which is Craig. I love the pocket hole joinery, and in my personal opinion, it's allowed everyone who wants to start doing something for themselves and be proud of what they make. It's a great enabler, isn't it?
It definitely is. I love the Craig system.
Yep.
I bought my first one when I was living in the States, and I've never looked back. It's just a great product, well designed, and you can make and do a lot with your Craig.
So there you go, guys. That's a full tour of a woodworking shop, which is emerging to be one of the top players in as far as what items they have for sale in the competitive market here in Melbourne and in Australia. So we have a lot of variety, and from the last comments of the first part one of the shop tour, I did get a bit of a understanding that in other parts of the world, people have to drive a long distance to actually have access to a store, well, and probably not as big in as capacity of what they offer. So I hope you enjoyed this. I thoroughly had a great time filming it, and once again I thank the TImbecon staff, the management, and Frank very sincerely. A big thank you, and if you like this, maybe you can, if you haven't already, please subscribe to Sumo's Projects. Look up TImbecon, put it in the Google search, TImbecon, and I'm sure you'll find everything that's available at the store. And there's also, they have catalogues, so be sure to check them out, and thank you for joining me on this one. All right, guys, I'll catch you next time. See you later. Well, as an awesome store, they have their own filming studio, so check out TImbecon for the videos they have on their products. See you guys.